Is everybody having a great Gen Con? We're having an awesome Gen Con. So this is the 11th in-flight report. Many of you here have been here before. I see a lot of familiar faces. Welcome back. I am really humbled that you guys would take time out of your day to come listen to us talk about what we love to do. I remember from the very first one, it was a small hotel room, basically a small lobby of hotel room way back in the middle of town, and we had about 10 people there. And now we have this. It's just phenomenal. Thank you. So here we are to talk about products from Fantasy Flight Games. If you don't know me, I'm Chris Peterson. I founded Fantasy Flight Games about 21 years ago, and I'm the CEO today. And we have some awesome guys up here to come helping with the presentation this time, and I'm going to introduce those guys later. What I'd like to do at the beginning of this presentation is talk a little bit about some big picture stuff before we get into actual products and communities and stuff. And so I want to take you through what's been happening here in the office and what we've been thinking about, what we're doing over the last year. So, what are new developments at FFG? So one thing, as you guys all may know, is we joined the Asmodee Group as part of a global group of gaming companies. And one of the really key things about that is we want to make sure that the studios that are part of that conglomerate have their own identity, their own creative freedom, and the people there, that they get to make their own choices on games the way they always did. So what we did for FFG is that they actually moved into a whole new facility, brand spanking new, still stuff on the construction there actually. They moved in about 3 months ago, sorry. And here's some pictures of it. This is the FFG office spaces focused on FFG style product development. And as you may have seen in the last couple of weeks, we've announced some amazing stuff that we've been working on for a very long time. And next year, I'll be talking about the stuff we're working on right now. And I think it's the best stuff we've ever done. So a couple things we have done is that we really open up a new dedicated department inside FFG to focus on miniatures, because they're such a big part of our business now. Games like X-Wing, Armada, and a number of other products that we do are very important to us, and we want to make sure that we can control that process to avoid delays, to get the maximum quality that we can. So we open up a whole miniatures team for the design, development, planning for that. Whereas before, those games have been kind of moved along from development team to development team as they were becoming available. But we knew that these were important to us, and so we opened up that team just dedicated to those games and a few others. We expanded our sculpting team. The last couple of years, we really invested in a lot of technology and a lot of machines, a lot of really high quality people that are helping us make some of the best, coolest looking game pieces that I've seen. And I think some of the results that are starting to come out from us, you can start seeing some of that. Very excited about what we're doing. We have moved almost exclusively to digital sculpting. But why do we do that? Well, because we actually think that some of the technologies that are coming through and some of the response time that we have for example, licensing requirements. If we have a Boba Fett helmet and we send it to Lucasfilm and they think it should be a little bit more round or a little bit more topped, then we can make that change right away rather than have several weeks worth of feedback on that. So one major thing that we've been dealing with for a while, an investment we made several years ago, is our belief that a certain category of games could really be exciting with apps. And I don't mean apps in the sense that they're standalone apps. These are apps that help us play the game in a new and different way. So obviously this is controversial to some people who don't think apps belong in their board games, which is fine. We believe that a certain category of board games could really be fun with this. But there wasn't really any precedent for how this worked. In some ways, when we think about technology in games, you think about, well, the first sand timer was a piece of technology, you know, in a game. And now we have these ubiquitous devices in our pockets that can do things like being a sand timer or a coin flipper. But they can do so much more. They have memory, they have intelligence, and we can kind of guide games in a way that's never been done before. So we've been exploring that for quite a long time and really taking an investment in it. And some of the games you've seen us come out with, a game like XCOM was our first attempt at this. So pleased with how that's selling. We're so pleased with how that was received. Our next step into the field that you may have seen is our Road to Legend application. This is something where we decided to reinvent what we could do with our Descent game. A lot of people wanted Descent to be a collaborative experience. We said, hey, maybe we can make that happen. We got some ideas from our, we did some print-on-demand solo co-op adventures, and we sort of took that system and we sort of pushed it into an electronic form that we could do. It could be much more flexible. We could add a lot more monsters. We could take away the materials. We could save some trees, and it was hugely successful. So if anybody has in here play Road to Legend, you played it? Awesome, guys. Thank you. We have always had a successful game in Descent. It's always been a great line for us, but sales have tripled on Descent since Road to Legend came out. So this shows how many people went in, replayed Descent, and had a whole new experience with it. We're just so thrilled with it. Then, of course, we just released the Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition. So we actually surprised a lot of you guys with that, because normally we announce a product and it comes out quite a bit of time later. In this case, we came out with the next week. Now, why did we do that? You know, in part for us, honestly, was to show you guys what Road to Legend could do, because we didn't want anybody in confusion as to, you know, is that a cool game or not? Because when we come out with Mansions of Madness, it actually takes that whole app experience to a whole nother level. It is simply put one of the biggest projects we've ever undertaken. There's so much content in this app. We have some international licensors down here that's had to translate it, and they know how much content is in this. A whole novel worth of information in terms of content, dialogue trees, et cetera, in this. And we're really, really proud of how that came out. So we are announcing it now to sort of surprise all you guys and to have to allow Road to Legend to kind of live a little bit before we confuse the marketplace with another game such as Mansions. So there are of course many more to come. We're working on it right now. One of the most common questions I've gotten over the last 3 months is, I really like Road to Legend. I really like it. How about this guy? Today I'm going to announce to you guys that we're working on it. Okay? Stop asking. So we're excited. We're really excited to see that. You can look for hopefully something in this direction in the future. I would say next year sometime, guys. All right. App integration, really important to us. Does this mean all of our games are going to have apps? Absolutely not. Does it mean a certain category of them will? We think it's worthwhile and fun and amazing? Yes. A certain category of our games will have apps. And I think the results of XCOM, with Road to Legend, and now Mansions of Madness, which we love the response that we're seeing, shows that it's a really viable format to make some games in. So another thing that we did this year is that we took a more serious approach to some of our own IPs. One of the favorite IPs that we have in the office is our Android world that we've developed ever since that we had the Android board game that we published about, I'd say, 8 years ago. And of course, we put that into our Netrunner product, and we just didn't realize how many people were so into the setting. But we started realizing that when we put out our Worlds of Android art book. Why did we do this book? Really, we did it for ourselves. We said we have this great IP, we have all this content, they're scattered all over cards and games and notes and wiki entries all over the place, and we have staff that are coming in and they want to make a cool game in the Android universe. They don't have a really essential place to learn and understand the world, so we wanted to make a Bible or kind of a presentation book for ourselves. And then somebody said, well, maybe if we make it even a little bit nicer, put a little bit of investment into it, maybe a few of the fans would like it too. We said, okay, why not? Let's do it. And so there was a lot of effort. It's one of the longest production times we had for a product, just to get all that artwork, all that development in there. And the response was huge. We had no idea that so many fans would want this book. And so thanks, we really appreciate it. And yeah, we sold out right away. I mean, we thought we'd have a 3-year supply, and it sold out in 2 weeks. So what this has told us is that you guys like to hear more about those worlds and have all those notes and input that we ourselves need in the building. So we are now hard at work on some other books very similar to this, on some of our other popular in-house IPs. And they are for us, but if you want to share them, thank you, and we'll make those books available to you as well. This was a big announcement we just made. So L5R to me is as old as my participation in this industry. My first Gen Con 21 years ago, the first thing I saw were these giant booths, these black banners with all the L5R activity that was surrounding it back then in 1996. And I thought, man, that's awesome, I want to be part of this. I want to be part of this industry because it was so great. And so now we had the chance to work with the AEG folks, and we actually had the option to go in and acquire this property and to try to contribute to this. It's really an honor. It's really something that is special to us. And as somebody who has been involved in the L5R property probably longer and more deeper than anyone else I know, is our own Chief Marketing Officer, Steve Horvath. And so I'm going to let Steve come up and talk a little bit about L5R.
Thanks, Chris. I'm really excited to be here today. This is my 20th Gen Con. And my very first Gen Con back in 1997, I made my way from Sacramento, California to Milwaukee to play in the Legend of the Five Rings Day of Thunder Gen Con Championship, where I finished in the top 4. I went on to be the brand manager of the game for a year at Wizards of the Coast, and have been involved in one way or another pretty much ever since. So when we had this opportunity, it was very, very special to me. It was also very special to a lot of other people in our office, and I'm very excited to say we're deep in development. We don't have anything to show today, but we're working on it very hard, and there's some very passionate fans working on it. And we can't wait to show it to you next year at Gen Con 2017 to unveil. We're already working on the launch ceremony and all the kind of cool stuff we're gonna do. And the design team is really excited. And our goal is to introduce this game and recruit a whole new generation of samurai to Rokugan. So just stay tuned for some more announcements about this. We have a lot more plans in store for this IP. We're just getting started, all right? And it's gonna have organized play from when it launches at Gen Con all the way through. It's gonna pick up very seamlessly in that regard. We're gonna really, really support it. And I just wanna take a minute to talk about organized play a little bit, and thank you guys for all of your support in that regard. Way back in 2013, we kind of started out on this, and you see every year pretty massive growth. And this year we expect to get to nearly 50,000 events worldwide. So thank you very much. It's pretty amazing. So I want to talk about the World Championships a little bit. Those have continued to grow and grow and grow. And earlier this year, we made an announcement that we're starting in 2017. We're splitting them into 2. We have a track for all of our Star Wars games, including Destiny coming out as well. And that will be in early May. Then in that same November time slot that we're all familiar with, will be the non-Star Wars games, including the newest member of our family, Legend of the Five Rings, which will be in November. We'll have a lot more coming on that soon. And I wanted to take a second to talk about the X-Wing Open Series. It's something that we tried new this year. We ran 8 events around the world. We had over 1,500 players participate, and it accumulated at Star Wars Celebration in England. And I'm very, very excited to tell you that we're going to do it again in 2017. We don't have the venues or the dates yet, but we'll have them announced very, very soon. There's going to be at least 4 in the US this time as well. I know that was a big deal this last time, but it's going to be across the whole country this time. So we're very excited. Stay tuned for that. Next, I want to talk about Destiny a little bit. We just announced that last Friday, and in case you didn't see the video,
there is a great disturbance in the Force.
I'm a Jedi, like my father before me.
Fulfill your destiny.
I feel like I should be able to shoot Force after that. So a big announcement for us. The reaction to the demos in the booth have been pretty amazing. It's a collectible dice and card game. you can stage battles across the whole Star Wars saga. Most of the games up to this point have really focused on that classic era. But this is a game that's going to allow you to kind of fight those what-if battles you've had in your head, you've talked about with your friends, or maybe like me, some of you grew up playing with the action figures and doing all kinds of crazy battles. This is going to allow you to find out who's going to win those encounters and have a lot of fun. It's super accessible. It has a lot of depth as you play through it, and it's going to be coming out in November of this year. It's very much like X-Wing. It's a game that's super easy to learn, but you'll be playing the game for years and still coming up with cool new strategies as you play the game. One big burning question that came out of this announcement, though, is why collectible? And I guess I would answer that question with one of my own and say, why not? People asking, well, what does that mean for the Star Wars living card game or your living card game category overall? And I guess the non-dramatic answer to that is it means nothing. You know, for 8 years we've invested in the living card game format, and we just, as we talked about, Legend of the Five Rings is going to be a major living card game release for us next year. We're very invested in it. We still believe in all the principles of it. And we haven't done a collectible game in over 8 years. But it turns out that's still a very significant category in the industry, and it has a lot of fans. And we've come up with a game that we think that will be able to engage those fans very, very well. And there's no reason why we can't do games in both of those categories. We have significant games in every other category in the industry except collectibles. So all we're doing here is we think fans of collectible games deserve a cool Star Wars game too, and we're going to give them one. That's all there is to it. And speaking of LCGs, we just announced the Arkham Horror LCG earlier this week as well. And to tell you more about that is Corey Knitska.
That's close enough. Hey everyone, Arkham Horror LCG. We just announced. A lot of people are really excited about it. Stop by the booth, play a demo. I think this game we've been working on for a long time. Nate French, a lot of people probably know him, worked on a lot of our LCGs. In addition to being the core designer of Lord of the Rings LCG, he's designing this game along with Matt Newman, who's a longtime Lord of the Rings designer. So they've really crafted a really excellent game here that kind of blends a traditional card game along with some kind of role-playing experiences. There's a lot of kind of text on the cards that like really gets you into the theme and the story, and they're really taking kind of what we developed in Lord of the Rings and learning all those lessons and taking it to another level as far as kind of the stories and the types of things we can do. One of the main differences between this and, say, Lord of the Rings is that you play a single character. So you've got your investigator that you're playing, and everybody at the table is their own investigator, and your character is your deck, and your character has strengths, but they also have weaknesses. So each character has some negative cards that get shuffled into their deck. One of them is particular to that character, like, my character's got a drinking problem or whatever, like, that's in the deck. That stinks, don't draw that card. But there's also other random weaknesses that start out in your deck. So at the very beginning of the game, when you build your deck, you choose all your good cards, and then some bad stuff shows up, so watch out for that. But the other thing that makes this game, I think, different than Lord of the Rings is right from the beginning there's a campaign. So I told you, you build your deck at the beginning, and this deck is going to evolve over time. You're going to be gaining experience points as you complete quests. You're going to be able to add new cards into your deck. But in addition to that, it really ties into the storytelling. You're going to be making decisions during scenarios you play. They're going to carry over to the next scenario. It's really interesting. When I was playtesting the first campaign, I got to the very end of the last scenario, and I get to this part where the game asked me, it's like, hey, did you make this decision back in that first scenario way back when? I'm like, yes, I did. Why? It turns out god-awful stuff is going to happen to me now because I completely made a terrible moral choice early on. We shouldn't talk about that. That's coming late this year, so like I said, check it out at the booth. I think it's going to be really something special, so we're really excited for it. Let's talk a little about another big announcement we just had. Seems like we've had a lot of those this past week. Game of Thrones, the Iron Throne. This game is based on the HBO Game of Thrones series. We're very fortunate to have been working on Game of Thrones for a long time, and when the show came out, we were very blessed to see it drag in a whole new audience for Game of Thrones, and all of our Game of Thrones stuff has done phenomenal based on that. This particular game is inspired by a game that some people may know, Cosmic Encounter. The original designer of Cosmic Encounter, Peter Laka, we were just talking about games, things that he could do, and we were talking about how great a game Cosmic is, and about all the bluffing and the negotiations and stuff that can happen in that game. And one of us said, you know, this game would work really well in one of our other IPs that also has betrayal and backstabbing and that sort of stuff. And so we started looking into it, and we mocked up an early prototype, and we're like, you know what? This is pretty cool. So we got him on board with our development team, and they kind of found what the heart of Cosmic was, and they tweaked it and they changed it to make sense in Game of Thrones. And it's received great response from our playtesters around the office. I think you'll be pretty impressed with this. Unlike Cosmic Encounter, where everybody's an alien race, in this game you play at one of the houses of Westeros, and within that house you choose who your leader is going to be. So your leader is kind of your alien sheet that has special powers and whatnot, but the other characters will always play into the game as well. So, like I said, it's like Cosmic Encounter in the sense that there's bluffing, there's intrigue, betrayal, and there's other things that make a lot of sense in Game of Thrones that don't exist in Cosmic, like people getting held hostage or getting their heads chopped off, you know, fun stuff. That's coming out this fall, so another game that we're demoing at our booth. Check it out, and we're really excited to have people playing this. Let's talk a little about Mansion of Madness. Well, first let's watch a video.
A feeling of dread has fallen over me. The powers at work stretch further than I had imagined. I fear not only for myself, but for the entire world. I know now that a malign force is gathering and must be stopped. What I don't know is how.
Mansion of Madness, I mean, it's come a long way. I started designing the first edition, I don't know, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, and the idea of Mansions was always, what if we could make a board game that could kind of capture the feeling of kind of exploration and mystery that you get from, say, Cthulhu role-playing, or something that's different from, say, Arkham Horror, that's more on a grander scale. And so that game's really dear to my heart, and when we've been releasing these new apps recently, we've been experimenting a little bit, looking in the directions we could go at. And I talked to my co-designer on Elder Tor, Nikki Valens. I said, I'd really like to go back and do a new edition of Mansion of Madness. You know, it's been a while, and I think we could do something really special with it. And so I said, do you have any suggestions? Like, think a little bit about what would you do different this time around? And she said, well, it'd be nice if the setup was less than 2 hours. So I said, okay, that's fair. We can do that. But she also had a lot of other great ideas about, let's try to make it fully cooperative this time so everybody can enjoy the story. Let's also add a lot of exploration. Let's really focus on the narrative. And to allow people to slowly be uncovering portions of the map. There can be NPCs that you can talk to, and it turned into a whole laundry list of really exciting, awesome ideas. And so the next question was, how do we do this? And the answer to that was, well, let's create an app. Let's take away the overlord. Let's have the app be the overlord. Let's have the app store all the hidden information. Let's make it so you don't have to put cards on the table, and the app can drive forward all the story. You can talk to characters, they can have personalities, they can have things to say, and it's all self-contained. And of course, we don't want to leave the first edition fans behind. I mean, this game isn't super old. So we decided right from the beginning, let's make sure that those people are appreciated and that they're supported. So right in the box, we include a conversion kit that lets you bring all of your investigators, all of your monsters, all your tiles from first edition straight into the game. So the people who've been asking for an expansion to Mansion of Madness first edition for a long time, this is it. And people who want a new game and never got a chance to get into it, this is your game too. So we're really excited. This is another game that we're demoing at our booth. I really encourage you to stop by and check it out. And it's on sale right now. So you can find it in your local game store, find it online, you can find it everywhere. We got some new stuff to talk about too. Let's talk a little bit about what's new for Mansion of Madness. Kind of the biggest question that I've received since we've announced Mansion of Madness way back when, a week and a half ago, was, what about the people that didn't have first edition? How are they going to get these monsters? How are they going to get these tiles, these investigators? We thought about it. We're going to sell this pack here that includes all the monsters, all the tiles, all the investigators from first edition, core set, in one box. You can pick it up, you'll get all that content that you think you're missing, and that's coming this fall. So. And there's more. There's also, we made some expansions for first edition, Call of the Wild and Forbidden Alchemy. We took those monsters and tiles and investigators, we threw them in a box too. And that's also going to be available this fall. One of the hidden little things that both of these amazing supplements have is with each of them we're including one new scenario that if you're a first edition owner, you get it for free. If you buy this, you get it for free. So that's 2 new scenarios that are just going to be free updates to the app that anybody who has this content can play. So, thank you. So let's talk a little about Star Wars Armada. That's a game that I know there are lots of fans for. This is something that I know is a dream of ours to be able to make this giant epic scale space combat game where you can fly a Star Destroyer, crash into things, whatever you want to do, you know. We just recently announced something really special for this line, which is the Corellian campaign for Armada. This is something we've never done before. Basically, 2 to 6 players, they can create their fleets and they can basically wage war in a sector of space. They can conquer planets, they can fight individual battles, they can upgrade their fleet. There's all sorts of crazy stuff that you can do. You got like a galactic map in there, all sorts of special objective cards for scenario play. And in addition, there are going to be objectives for the main game as well. So if you'd like more ways to play your basic game of Armada, this is another way to do it. And in addition to all that cool campaign stuff, we're also going to stick in some new squadron leaders for some of the most beloved ships. You're going to see people like Big Starklighter finally show up, and just add a lot more variety to the types of things that you can fly in your squads. So that's pretty exciting. That's coming late this year. So keep an eye out. And what would be Armada without talking about what's next? What are we doing next for Armada? We're gonna do more ships. So, the first thing that we're gonna have in the next wave of Armada is the Imperial Squadron Pack. It's gonna have, you got the Lamba Shuttle, the Decimator, TIE Phantoms. Come on, everybody wants cloaking ships, right? That's totally Star Wars. In addition, we've got a larger Imperial ship, the Imperial Light Carrier. This is something that showed up in Star Wars Rebels. This is it's kind of a command ship that's a little bigger than some of the smaller ones, but not as big as, say, a Star Destroyer. A lot of good support abilities on this one, but like most Star Wars ships, it's got guns on it. And we have some Rebel ships coming too. They're gonna get a whole new set of fighters. They're gonna have the Ghost. They're gonna have E-Wings, Z-95s. So a lot of those ships that people really kind of attached to in X-Wing are finally coming over to Armada, so it's gonna be fun. And the Rebels get a larger ship as well. I don't know if people watch Star Wars Rebels, but they've got a giant, cool command ship, the Phoenix Home, which we are going to be releasing in Star Wars Armada. It's, once again, another command-style ship that is pretty good at blowing stuff up as well. So, all these ships are really going to provide new options for players, new ways to kind of command their fleets and hopefully destroy their opponent. All 4 of these are going to be coming out late this year. So, once again, just stay tuned. Let's go to Star Wars, Imperial Assault. Imperial Assault's a game that it's very near and dear to us. I hear a lot of people talking about it, a lot of good praises for it, which is awesome. We sunk a lot of time into making this product. Great. And just in the hall the other day, I hear people saying like, oh yeah, how big is that game? Oh, it's an Imperial Assault size box. I'm like, that's a thing? Okay. So it's become something beyond itself, which is amazing. We couldn't be happier. And we're gonna do some more things for Imperial Assault. We're going to Jabba's Palace. So this is going to be Return to Tatooine. You're also going to go into Hutt Space. You're going to have a whole another big campaign like we did with Hoth. You'll get to see a very focus on kind of the scum side of things this time, as opposed to stormtroopers and AT-ATs. You're going to be fighting against things like Gamorrean guards and Weequay and all that fun stuff. And there's a guy with a jetpack in there too. What? There's this big guy. I think this is probably the best sculpt we've done for this game before. The plastics team really knocked it out of the park. So that's in the box. That's coming out late this year. So. And of course, we're going to have some more figure packs that are coming out along the same time. We've got some Rangers for Rebels. These are kind of a long-range specialist unit. They show up in the campaign, but you can also use them in the skirmish game. In addition, we've got a new leader, Captain Taro, who's riding on a dewback. This is going to be similar to the ATST that we sold, where you can actually build it in 2 different configurations. You can make the leader the named character, or you could make it as just a standard dewback rider. So you get 2 different options in that box there. And of course your Shadow. He's the fastest unit in the game. We got this guy. We're talking to the design team. They really wanted to give Luke Skywalker, this unknown farm boy, kind of a lightsaber. It was a little controversial, but we managed to do it. They approved it, and he's coming out at Jabba's Palace. Let's move on to the thing that started these sorts of games altogether. First we did Doom, then Descent, then Imperial Assault, and now we're back to Doom. So let's have Andrew tell us a little bit about that game.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
So Doom, it's based on id Software's video game. Obviously, as everybody knows, as Corey mentioned, when our first edition of Doom came out, like in 2004, I think, there was really nothing quite like it on the market. And now, of course, there's tons of games like this on the market. But at the time, it really filled a void. And for me, it holds a special place in my heart because when I first started FFG, it was the very first product that I bought with my discounted fake money. So, you know, a lot of people, want these games to be enjoying them being cooperative, and that's great. But sometimes you just want to shoot your friends in the face. So this is a Overlord style game. It's asymmetrical. It's one player. It takes the role of the demons of hell, and the rest of the players play different Marines. As the Overlord player progresses through the game, they'll unlock more as they kill more Marines. As they kill the other players, they'll unlock the ability to bring more powerful demons into play. And it's one of the cool things about this game, I think, is it's unlike the 2004 version of Doom, which very much emulated Doom 3. I don't know if any of you played Doom 3, but that game was a lot about like creeping around in the dark and exploring and being scared, and that game I think did a really good job of emulating that. And this game, like the new edition of Doom, is more about running and gunning, combat, running into battle, guns blazing, dying, respawning, and doing it all over again. So it has a completely different combat system. It still uses dice, kind of similar to what you find in Descent or in Imperial Assault, but also has a lot of cards as well, where you'll pick up power-ups as you're playing along, pick up new weapons, and those will add to your combat deck, and you'll be able to play those for special abilities and stuff. It's pretty sweet. This is coming in fall of 2016. You can play it at our booth right now, though, so please come by and check out a demo if you haven't yet. New Angeles. As Chris mentioned earlier, we've been doing more and more work this past year in our Android setting, and New Angeles represents the first major board game in the Android setting since the original Android board game, I think back in 2007. So a few months ago, we released Android Mainframe, which allows players to take on the role of runners. And this game, conversely, allows players to take on the role of the mega corporations that rule the different worlds of Android and rule the megapolis of New Angeles. So this game is about, it's a lot about pursuing your own corporation's goals while at the same time trying to maintain the city. Because in order to make as much money as possible, the city can't fall into complete collapse. So a lot of the game is balancing your own interests while maintaining order throughout the city. There's a lot of backstabbing in this game. There's a lot of player interaction. There's a lot of negotiations and table talk. I've played it a couple times in a lot of early formats. It's a lot of fun. And there's also a trader mechanic, and from what I hear around the office, it is much, much better than Battlestar Galactica. It's coming in early 2017. XCOM. So as Chris mentioned earlier, this was kind of like our first app-driven board game. It kind of kicked us off in a whole new direction for a lot of our games. We learned a lot from doing this game, but we haven't forgotten about it entirely. So we have the XCOM board game Evolution expansion. So this expansion, kind of like the Enemy Within expansion to Firaxis's Enemy Unknown, introduces a new adversary into the game space called the Exalt. If you're not familiar with the Exalt, they are a human dissident faction trying to pave the way for our new alien overlords. And what this will do is that this expansion, it augments the existing experience. So what the Exalt do is they'll show up as new timed events, if you're familiar with the game, new timed events during the time phase. And it'll, so all you need to do when this game comes out, you just download an update to the app, and you can decide if you want to play with the expansion or not at the main menu. And then those guys will be seamlessly integrated into your game. It also comes with 2 new invasion plans if you're tired of the existing ones. But it's not all horrible. The players have some new weapons at their disposal as well, like these giant mech troopers, and a new resource called Meld, which allows you to unlock new powerful abilities in the game. And it is coming early 2017. So I have one more thing to talk about that I'm sure a lot of you have been waiting for, and that's this game. So, like Armada, we're gonna do some more ships. Wave X, the coolest wave. The first ship I want to talk about is the Quad Jumper. For those of you who do not recognize this ship, this is the ship that Ray believes to be objectively better than the Millennium Falcon. It has a pretty cool mechanic where when you reveal your maneuver dial in the first phase of the game, you reach for the ship, it explodes. Yes. Just kidding, it actually moves backwards. Next, Sabine's TIE Fighter from Star Wars Rebels. I'm personally very excited about this ship. It's kind of hard to tell from the slide, but the paint scheme of the ship is easily the most complicated one we've ever done. I think it looks gorgeous, and it's cool that it introduces the TIE Fighter to the Rebel faction, because the game needed more TIE Fighters. And lastly, the Upsilon class shuttle. This is Kylo Ren's fancy limousine. It is a large, imposing ship. Like the Lambda shuttle, it has articulated wings. It's pretty cool. And it's very, very black. And you can see at the bottom left there's a new card type that's introduced in this wave as well, called condition cards. Not going to talk about what those do, but they're cool. And you'll find more about them at a later date. X-Wing Wave 10 will be coming out at the end of this year. So that's all I have. I'm going to pass the mic off back to Christian, who's going to have a few closing comments, and then we'll do some Q&A and get out of here. Thanks, everybody.
You guys like it? It's all right? Oh, good. That's so great. So, thanks again for coming. Normally at this point, we would take questions. However, today, I want to talk about more stuff. So I have another product announcement. What's next for FFG? Well, what's next? What are the cool games that we want to make? Generally speaking, in the last 20 years, the games we've made more or less have been games we want to play. And that has not stopped. The day that stops, we'll probably stop ourselves. It's not gonna happen. So we thought, we have all these capabilities now. We found this joy in some of the game mechanics that came out of X-Wing and some of the capabilities that we have in our various departments. And so what we really felt that we were missing, being fantasy fans, as well as science fiction fans, was this game here.
Something stirs in the north. Each day, another village is swallowed by the mists. He is coming, and his legions will engulf all Terranoth.
fantasy miniatures combat game. Isn't that original and novel? No, it's not. But we're gonna make it that. We're gonna do something cool. We love miniatures, we love sculpts, we love painting them, we love doing all these things. But what we really, of course, love are games. And so what we thought we could do, as we did with X-Wing, we thought we could bring a whole new heart in gaming into the miniatures hobby. And that's what we're gonna try to do with RuneWars. So we have this huge product coming out, RuneWars miniatures game. It's a rank and file miniatures game. It is not pre-painted. We are delivering a whole ton of amazing stuff in this box. And it's easily assembled, unpainted miniatures. They are gonna come together in a box that has what I think is some of the most innovative gameplay that we've brought forth in a very long time. Okay, it takes its heart and soul a little bit in the X-Wing game, and it brings a whole lot of really new experiences to fast, fun miniatures combat, and that's what we think we could bring to this really traditional, classical game category. We are, of course, going to roll this game right into our organized play support. We have, as you saw, like more than 50,000 events last year, and we know what organized play really means to people and how important it is when you have a hobby and you want to get into a game that you build and assemble and paint at home. You want to go into the game store and you want to have fun, you want to expose your army, your work to everybody else, and organized play is really the heart and soul of really the fans getting into that. So you can get a demo of this game today. We're exposing this game back in the hall. You'll see all the miniatures. You see all the miniatures coming out in the first waves. We have two beautiful tables just set up as we get back. And I think, and I really hope that you will love this gameplay as much as I do. So what's special about it? Well, number one, the game actually ships with what we call interlockable trays. So when you put your miniatures in, they just fit neatly into slots. The trays themselves slot neatly into each other. So when you're moving your army units around, you do seamlessly, fast, smooth. The way we work with the actual game system. Oh, wait a minute, and the figures are really cool too. So I just want to show them off a little bit. These are really amazing. All these figures you see come in the core set. And we have a lot more follow-up to that, and we are showing the first follow-up figures as well. Awesome. So back to the gameplay, we're going to use a template movement basis system. So there's no rulers, there's no inches. This is a template movement system you probably would have known from X-Wing, where you give your unit orders. There's special templates that you do. It's easy, it's fast. There's a lot of really elegant rules to make just giant fantasy armies move quickly and have just an epic battle. And that's one of those rulers in action right there. So another thing that I think is probably the coolest part is how you actually play and interface with your units. So when you have a fantasy army unit, you want it to shoot and attack and run and charge and shield wall and all that good stuff. Every single unit type, in this case it's the Deccan Spearman, will have their own command dial. And the way it works is that this dial right here, and there's two aspects to this dial. There's over on the left-hand side, that is your order. In this particular case, my order for my command for this unit is to do a 2 movement using the 2 ruler. It also gives you my initiative number in 4 right there, so that'll be my initiative. And over on the right-hand side, those are some parameters I can choose. So if I choose a blue action, for example, then I could choose a parameter on the other side that corresponds to the blue action. In this particular case, I'm choosing to move with the 2 ruler. However, I want that move to be a turn. Okay, and so I'm going to move 1 less. So in this case, for this particular unit type, you're going to pick the 1 turn ruler. So how does it actually work when you're in the game? So what happens is that these are programmed and they're placed facing your opponent. So it's going to look very similar to this, where you are programming your unit. You're saying what's it going to do, how's it going to do it, and you're doing all that, and you're placing them face to your opponent, so you don't know what your opponent's units are doing. Then you start calling the initiative number. Of course, you start with the lowest 1. Anybody doing 1? Yep, I have a 1. I have archers firing, which of course would have a very low initiative because you don't want to react fire to anybody charging you. Flip it over, declare your action, move. Then you go on. Very reactionary, very back and forth, and due to the whole way these things are composed together, super fast. You can play a just epic game. In our tournament rules for about an hour and a half. And people who played fantasy miniatures games realize that's a very short period of time to have a really great epic battle game. So that's some of the core aspects of the actual mechanic. It's going to come out early next year. We're going to be talking a lot about this, showing you guys a lot of these cool figures and a lot of these game mechanics on our website going forward. We're very excited about really taking the miniatures game hobby and the gaming side of it, especially, into kind of a new era. And this is really a very important product for us to sort of prove that, hopefully, to you guys, that these things are fun and we can do that. So, RuneWars miniatures game, that was sort of the last thing I had to talk about today. And having said that, now we can have some questions. So here towards this time, we are here to interface with you guys. You guys can have a lot of questions, and some of them ask in message boards. Some people email us, and you're all welcome to do that. If anybody have any questions for any of the people, myself, or Andrew, Steve, or Corey, we're happy to take those questions right now. Yep.
First, thank you for making the maps for Imperial Assault. I thought they'd be available out here, but nobody seems to have heard of it to the stores.
Do we know anything about them? What mats? Yeah, so you're referring to the Imperial Assault skirmish mats. Okay, so we have the Imperial Assault organized play program. And in an organized play program, I believe we have 3 different battlefields that you're actually playing on. And what we did is that we went ahead and designed some actual cool mats that we're going to be doing. Now, we actually make them ourselves in our facility. And I believe that they got so busy making all the mats you see at Gen Con, they didn't get a chance to make them yet. I'm pretty sure that's the answer. Should we just leave it at that? They're coming very soon. Yeah, thank you. Back there in the middle?
Please tell us elves are coming for Battle Lore.
Elves and Battle Lore. Obviously, we're very into fantasy stuff right now, so certainly we love elves. However, I will say we get this style of questions very often, but what we don't do is we don't talk about unannounced product. We're pretty reserved about that, so I'm not going to comment on new products. Sorry. Back of maybe over here. Yes, sir, in the middle.
So one of the things, in spite of all the strengths of LCGs, that is weaker about the format is that it's not easy to do like drafts and limited play. So now that you're back to doing a collectible game, will Star Wars Destiny support limited play like drafts and things? I'm
going to let Steve Horvath, who is our resident expert on draft, limited, organized play, everything, answer that question for you.
Is that working? Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're working on addressing that right now. I don't have any particulars, but those are formats that we are very interested in supporting for Star Wars Destiny. So the short answer is yes, we're working on it.
And I would also add that you're right. I mean, draft play, the kind of casual in-store play that is really a hallmark of the collectible format, is something that we are not able to provide in a strong way in the LCG format, and I know we're all hoping that that's going to be a big deal. So, the blue shirt in the back.
Yeah, are you guys ever going to release Bounty Hunter book for Star Wars RPG?
No. Sorry. We don't comment on new, new product, but I do believe we have released pretty much every other profession, or getting very close to being completely concluded with all of them. So I'll sort of leave it at that. And please don't take my no for a definitive answer. Anybody else? Yeah, in the front row. So the questions about the Star Wars cannons. We have a lot of cannons. They are on all of our ships. Do you want to take that one on? Okay, well, we'll have Steve take that one too. It's a good question.
So everything that we do and work on, we work with LFL. They're very good at helping us find stuff to continue to provide content. Any of that old stuff or where canon exists, we leave that up to them. We're just working to make cool stuff, really. So it's up to them to decide what gets moved into canon. Just because something from the EU exists in one of our games, that does not mean or not mean that it becomes canon. That's for them to decide, not for us.
This side, gentleman in the red shirt.
Do you have plans to release any new RPG other than Force Awakens to begin the box? In particular, is it Warhammer 40k up to 99?
What? No, we can't comment on new products. I will say that role-playing is something we've basically always done. The third product that FFG released in 1995 was a role-playing book supplement for Call of Cthulhu. We have a thriving role-playing team today. The Star Wars role-playing game is more successful than it ever has been, and we love role-playing. We'll continue to explore role-playing opportunities. In terms of specific games, I can't comment on that today. Try this side over here, gentleman in the back.
RuneWars. Could we look forward to seeing some miniatures in the display booth?
They're all displayed. They're all there. You're going to see a huge setup of that back in the booth. You're going to see all the miniatures in the display cabinets, and I really hope that you agree that they're awesome. I'll tell you that. So, see here in the front, sir, in the front.
Yeah, you foresee the open series expanding to other Star Wars miniature games, especially Imperial Assault. Yeah.
So as you saw from the slide earlier, Organized Plays has experienced some explosive growth over the past couple of years. That X-Wing Open Series was an amazing success for us. As I said, we're going to continue into 2017, and we're looking at ways to explore the other games as well. But much like we don't comment on unannounced games, we're not going to comment on what those plans will be until we have something really significant to say. But rest assured, we're really excited about that response from the X-Wing Open Series and are entertaining other possibilities.
We're not sure if Imperial Assault is popular enough. Yeah, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yes, in the middle, sir.
Is the community going to get some sort of reassurance about the status of Warhammer 40k Conquest?
Reassurance?
We haven't seen any sort of updates about releases and anything like that. Everyone seems to be worried that it's going to be discontinued.
Yeah, we have 2 new packs coming out very soon. I think they'll be releasing a new pack at the show. I believe we are, haven't we? Unfortunately, I can't comment on new and upcoming products, but I wish I could. Yes?
Given that RuneWars is going to be on PA, do you all have any plans to at some point put out a paint line?
We'd rather not do that. We think if you're a retailer out there, you already have probably established paint lines, and we don't really want to get into the chemicals business. So it's not something that we're big into. I never say never. I can tell you that we're partnering up with an army painter who is going to be doing a lot of stuff for us and helping us with matching up colors for people who want to try to match those exact illustrations that we're putting in.
Star Wars Destiny, will the starter packs be a set group of cards, or will there be randomness in those as well?
They're going to be set. There is no randomness in the starters. Gentleman in the back.
Not to comment on any new possible upcoming projects, but are you guys personally, as a group, interested in superheroes?
I'm a lifelong comic book fan and reader. Yes. I'm a fan of many other things we don't make games for either, though, just to be clear.
Shazam. All right, guys, we have just a few more questions. There's another group that's going to want to come into the room. I'll take a few more. When we conclude today, I'll be happy to hang around here for another couple minutes. So if anybody want to have me ask personal questions or any of these guys, we'll be able to hang out here or just in front of the doors, okay? So we'll take 2 more questions. Gentleman in the middle here.
I just wanted to say, from a retail point of view, just wanted to say thank you very much for having Managing with Madness available in retail stores at the same time as Gen Con release. It's very, very appreciated.
You're welcome. And your last question. In the back. I'll take both of you guys. Sorry. Okay, we'll do 2 more.
The interactive storyline part of the 5 hours is considered a key part of its organized play. Can you make any commentary at this time regarding its preservation to the new brand?
As I said when I spoke, we have a lot of really passionate L5R fans in the office. what that interaction is going to look like, we're not ready to talk about. But yes, of course, there's going to be interaction. The story is paramount to that game.
Cool. And then the last question for the gentleman in the back.
It's actually more just a compliment. I participated in the Lord of the Rings card game event that you guys sponsored, and I thought that the ability to have a 12-person, 3-part thing where everybody interacted with each other and the decisions that were made affected each other's game was awesome. It felt very much like in the spirit of Lord of the Rings, and I'd love to see more of that. You guys would do that.
Somebody named Caleb in our offices just smiled. Caleb has been a huge proponent of that exact format for a couple of years, and we've been somewhat reluctant, and the fact that it's so successful proves me wrong. So I am happy to be wrong. Caleb wins. I will definitely let him know. So guys, we could not do this without you. We do this for you. We realize that we cannot do everything right, but we hopefully try to do most things right. Thank you for your patronage, thank you for support, and thanks for coming to this presentation, some of you year after year after year. So like I said, we'll end the presentation now, but I'll happy to take some more questions on the floor or right in front, okay? Thank you.